Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Now, this is a different kind of Disney film. Now, we're in the era, when this came out in 2001, we were pretty well entrenched in the era of the Disney Princess Revival. The one that was just before this was Hunchback of Notre Dame. We had Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and things like that, and they were always musicals. Well, Disney made a concerted effort to make sure that this was not a musical. The crew even bragged that it was like more explosions, less musicals kind of thing. I think they had it on their T-shirts or something like that. I read a little bit of trivia about this before I looked. Well, as I was watching it, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of really crazy, cool things about this movie. It's strange to think that this is not more popular. It has a tremendous cult following. I know that much. There's people who absolutely love this movie. Um, but it's stylistically, it's not it's not very much like a lot of the modern Disney films. Um, it to me when I first looked at it, I thought it felt more like, maybe since it was set in 1914, but it felt like one of the old school 60s era, 50s 60s era animated films, but with the character movement and no, the character movement felt like the 50s and 60s stuff, like 101 Dalmatians and things like that. Because Milo here is, super lanky, and his exaggerated moves with his hair and his chin. Everybody has strong chins in this movie. But it was very much an animation style that was set in the 90s and such. It sort of mixed the two. And then I read the trivia and I realized, holy crap, a lot of the character designs seem very familiar to me, and a good chunk of it, a majority of it, I think, was made by Mike Mignola. If you know that name, you know him as the creator of Hellboy, the comic, and the movies that were inspired by it, but mainly the comic, the art style that he pioneered for decades. And when I realized that, the look of these characters made so much sense to me. Although I will have to admit that Helga, who is like the blonde femme fatale, um, who enters the movie in a very noirish scene, looks like early Jim Lee, like Marvel X-Men Jim Lee. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird mix, but it's the animation and everything else looks superb. It just looks great, and again, people don't necessarily go out to the movies who like Disney films are like, well, maybe the art is up to par. I don't know. Maybe the animation. No, they go for at this time anyway, they were going for princesses. And I don't know if this really, I can't remember if this did good or not. I know I didn't see it. I have not seen this movie until just now. And I've been missing out for the last almost 20 years. This movie's only almost 20 years old. And there's been rumors thrown around plenty of times about a live action remake, and people have talked about who they'd love to see in those roles. People even talked about Guillermo del Toro being involved, and no, he shot that down. But there's so much in this movie that should have made it huge. To me, it felt very, when it showed the origins of Atlantis, how it went under the water, it felt like Star Wars. And as the movie went on, because of the era in which it's set, it felt so much like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So yeah, there's humongous inspirations, whether intentional or not, from these films, and it moves well. It's got an unassuming hero in Milo, because he's just a lanky, dorky nerd who believes in Atlantis. Everybody says he's an idiot, and they're not going to give him money to do that until he gets a gift from a strange benefactor, played by John Mahoney. Oh, speaking of which, let me talk about the cast. John Mahoney, the dad from Frasier, plays this eccentric millionaire, billionaire, who knows, he's super rich, and he can make something that looks like the Nautilus out of the 23,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So, yeah, he's super rich. And the main character, Milo, is voiced by Michael J. Fox, Marty McFly himself. So, we got him, we got those guys. Jim Varney, his last role. He died during the production of this film. So, he did all of his lines, and he had passed away soon after that, which is unfortunate, very sad. because Jim Varney is like an icon. And then he was also in the Toy Story movies as well. There's also Claudia Christian plays Helga. James Garner plays the militaristic leader who's leading the expedition to find Atlantis using the tools that Milo has in his possession. Phil Morris, Don Novello, if you know that name, Father Guido Sarducci. You have to be over a certain age to remember who he is. But yeah, when I first heard his voice in this, I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that voice in so long. It was just amazing to hear that. David Ogden Stiers from MASH. Let's see who else. Florence Stanley. When you hear her voice, you'll know who I'm talking about. If you're older, Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, did some tons of additional voices through this. But one of the most iconic is the Atlantean King, done by none other than Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock from Star Trek. And a weird little connection to that is the guy who created the language for Atlantis. Not this is Aurebesh from Star Wars, not Star Trek. But this guy who created the spoken language for this movie, for the Atlanteans, created the Vulcan and Klingon languages in Star Trek. So this movie has a huge sci-fi and fantasy pedigree between writers, character designers. By the way, one of the writers, there's like 9 writers that are involved in this, but one of the most iconic ones, who I think had the first pass at it was none other than Joss Whedon, Mr. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Angel, and Firefly, and the Avengers. And yeah, so there's so many different people involved in this. And again, it's not just a sci-fi film. It's very much more a fantasy film because it's set in just this fantastical. I'll tell you, they do find Atlantis. So I think I've already spoiled that because people are speaking Atlantean. So yeah, it's thrilling. It's full of action. So there's depictions of smoking. So be careful. They always get that warning in front of movies like this before a certain era, because Disney doesn't allow smoking in their movies anymore. I don't know if they slipped that through anymore, but at least in 2001, you could smoke, and one of the characters does. At least one or two of them do. But yeah, this movie is everything that an animation adventure movie you could want in one of those things. And that was a sentence that didn't make any sense. Some of the only negative things people have said about this is that it seems too similar to a Japanese animation film. Something about the blue water. I can't remember the name offhand, but it's still a Disney cult classic. Again, like I said, I don't know how this slipped under the radar and I didn't see this, but it's got great fun characters. It's got a motley crew of characters that are funny and you can identify with, and there's a conflict. And I think also kind of the thing is there is a Disney princess of sorts in Kida, which is the daughter of the king that Milo and the crew meet first before anybody else. But she's not the core character. She's used as a plot device in some cases, as compared to her having her own agency. So yeah, I can see why she's not included in the lineage of Disney princesses over the years. But that could change someday. Maybe they can make a new one. There is a sequel or two. They made plenty of video games related to this movie, where I think a lot of the actors reprised their roles. But yeah, it's supposedly been lost to the ages, but found again on Disney Plus. So honestly, if you didn't watch it last night when I told you to, take some time. And if you like good action adventure films and animated films, you can't go wrong with this. It's just really freaking fun. It's a good time. So yeah, you'll kick yourself for having waited this long, like I did, from waiting to see it. to waiting for a randomized website selection process to choose it for you. But yeah, those of you who've known all these years, pat yourself on the back and recommend this. If you're seeing this, recommend this to somebody you know. Tell them about this video. Tell them to watch this video. Trust this guy. And if they don't trust you for some reason, and I don't know if you want to call them friends. That's kind of weird. Anyway, let's pick tomorrow's Disney Plus Everyday Challenge selection. 348. It loves the 300s and the 600s. I say that every day. 348. 348. Don't tell me you closed already. Come on. 348. It did. Nothing is... I usually open these things ahead of time to make sure that they're ready to go, but for some reason they close, and I have to restart the app. 348. And I'm just wasting your time. Uh-oh. It's a short. And it's a Cars short featuring your favorite hunk of junk, Mater. 348 is Mater's Private Eye. Mater Private Eye. So I'm betting this is a good 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes long. And so yeah, let's watch Mater Private Eye. Maybe we'll get a noirish Mater. And he'll talk. It'll all be black and white, maybe. You never know. Could be fun. Maybe not. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Bye-bye.